Okay, I have a challenge for everybody, and it's a challenge that I am doing too. So this challenge is has to do with compassion. And so you think, well, what exactly is it? Well, it's going to be different for everybody. I don't know where everybody's level of compassion is or where they stand. But every morning, I want you to ask, to ask God, where can I show compassion? Who needs it today? It may be a letter. It may be a text. It may be to one of our children or our spouse or someone in our family. And it's going to be different. But if you pray for it every day, I guarantee that you'll have an opportunity to show it. Now, I also know that God knows you. And so he knows your schedule too. He's not going to give you some big thing to do that you can't accomplish, that you cannot accomplish. He will give you things that will be exactly for you. So I started this actually. Sunday we had a lesson on it in our women's class. And so I started, on Monday, I started doing it. And I noticed that on Tuesday, I was doing service, and I was out, and I was doing service, and I had like extra minutes. I don't know if this makes sense. Like I had times where I didn't have something to do at that moment. And so I would just sit and talk to the people around me. I was with a whole bunch of older, elder in their 70s and late 70s. And so I would just ask them, what blessings have you seen in your life? Do you see God's hand in your life? And that was just something I could do. It was something where I had an extra 10 minutes or an extra 15 minutes. But instead of focusing on myself or doing, in that 10 minutes, I just focused on, who looked lonely and who looked like they needed to talk. So that's an example. I'm not doing that to pat myself on the back or anything, but that is an example of something to where if you just have 10 minutes, that God will point out who needs compassion. Now we hear this word compassion, and in our class, the example that was used was from Luke 7. And the last half of that chapter, it talks about when Christ was invited to a Pharisee's house to eat. And you remember this? And the woman comes in who's a sinner. And it's Mary Magdalene. She comes in and, she washes his feet with her tears and with her hair and, cleans it and anoints his feet. And the Pharisee in his mind is thinking, oh my goodness, he can't be the Savior. He can't be Christ, because if he was, he would know that she's a sinner. And that's the part that I want you to think about. Exactly, think about. A lot of times we don't have compassion because of our thoughts. Not because of what we say, not because of what we do, but because of our thoughts. So go back to the example of when I was volunteering yesterday. If my thoughts had been, I am so busy, I need to use this 10 minutes to, do A, B, and C, or my thoughts are, it just depends on what your thoughts could be. I'm trying to think. I don't know how. It's my thoughts. If my thoughts were self-centered, or if your thoughts are when you see compassion, when you have compassion, like if you see someone asking for money. All the situations are different. Sometimes I felt like I should. Sometimes I felt like I didn't. But if your thoughts are, A, this person doesn't need the money, or B, this person brought it on themselves, or C, your thoughts have to do a lot with compassion. And sometimes these are just natural thoughts. natural thoughts. Like, I loved the example my friend Angela used. She talked about it's easier for her to have compassion for strangers than it is for her own family members. And she said, because strangers, she doesn't know their whole history, the whole story. She doesn't know anything. And so it's easier for her to have compassion on them. Whereas her family, like she used the example of her daughter. Like if her daughter needed help and she's thinking in her mind, like let's say with homework, and she put off a project and she's thinking, you put off a project, this is your own fault, let's have natural consequences, which I do strongly believe in. But having compassion is that you cast away those thoughts and you ask God, how can I help them? You cast away with, I don't like that person, so I don't have compassion on them, right? That's wrong. And so the real trick to praying and asking God for compassion, I'm going to try it for a month and see, and I'm going to write down in my journal or in a book chances that I got to do that. And me being aware, I think a lot of times if it's just on the forefront of your mind, thinking good thoughts, excuse me. So if you're just to a point, maybe your compassion is that you're not judging others in your mind. And that's a huge thing. That's huge. Now, again, you're like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not gossiping. I'm not doing these kind of things. But judging people wrongly or unfairly in your mind, in your thoughts, is a very, very bad habit. We all do it. Well, I guess maybe not all of us, but we tend to do that just naturally. And so maybe people don't realize you're having compassion because you're clearing your thoughts and you're not judging people harshly in your mind. And that's what I liked about that. That's what I took from Luke 7 this time when I studied it, was the man's thoughts and me trying to keep my thoughts in check and keep my thoughts and have compassion and not judging anybody and just giving love, right? It's a great time to do that right now. That's a great gift that you can give to Christ, that you can give to God, is I'm going to follow that second commandment and try to love everybody as I love myself. So it goes for having compassion on yourself too, if you need to do that. So try it this week. I want to hear how you do. Try it for a month. Try it for a day. I guarantee if you try it for a month, that it will become a habit. Oh, what a great habit to have. So I hope you all have an absolutely fabulous starting out our December and showing compassion and writing it down. And you'll see how you're an instrument in God's hands. And what a wonderful gift that you can give to Christ at Christmas is not judging others and showing love. Thank you. Thanks for listening. I hope you all have an absolutely fabulous, fabulous week. And good luck with this. Thank you so much for watching or listening to my podcast. You can find more podcast or videos at perfectlypattytalks.com, or you can search me up on Facebook or Instagram at Perfectly Patty. Thanks again.